嗯，没有，还有6分钟，40分。
你到咗未？
对啊。你姐姐上不来？你姐姐上不来？哦，是 ，OK。我们其实好像没有见过，我们其实好像没有见过。啊？没有。有吗？哦，我看到过了，很久。3分钟吗？
他们谁啊？
啊？
后面那是谁啊？左边后面那些全部是谁啊？
一些医生，一个
一个医生，那其他3个
就 agent。
一个医生3个 agent。
kiếm lại.
Kiếm qua.
Hả? Lại. Cái này. Thì Văn, hỏi thầu cái. Văn. Oh.
Alicia.
Okay.
Alicia được
Có đây. Ok.有位置就坐了，你会看一下。稍等，你要搬2张椅子。其实那边也可以坐的。开始是。 I don't tell them. No. Hello. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Hi. Okay, we shall start now. Okay, let's wait for that guest, okay? 还有一个刚到。Testing. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. My dear friends and family, my name is Lu Su Ho. Okay, I'm the anti-aging consultant from MIRA Biotech in Berhad, and our company is actually a global business associate for Lotus Chemical Co. Limited from Taiwan. And I'll be your host today. For ladies and gentlemen, it's now November 2023, and in another 2 months when it hit 2024, it has been the 19 years that I've been worked alongside with this man, my mentor, my teacher, my friend, the greatest man I've ever met. I actually worked with him start from Penang, where I will start to develop the marketing for ADSC, the adult adipose stem cell, where I start to work in the marketing, okay? And then later on, we work together on the cell-based bioserums, and also the 3D printing facial appliances. And for the past 10 years, we actually work devotedly in these so-called young blood transfusions, which is the main topic of today, the heterochronic paralysis. Dr. Pan actually has got his chance to start the laboratory works since his age of 7. Okay, he has been a violinist before, and he is an American board certified plastic surgeon, where he had performed many cases of craniofacial surgery and more than 2,000 cases of facelift surgery even before the so-called the rise of Korean cosmetic surgery research. But deep inside his blood and his DNA, Dr. Pan is actually a scientist. He's a chemist, he's a physicist, and he's a mathematician. And he's actually the first Asian that graduates from the first batch of a medical scientist training program, which initiated by the American government. So Dr. Pan has dedicated his whole life in the medical practice and science research, doing what he believes is right, no shortcut. We hope that what we are doing today will somehow help to alleviate the industrial problems, to alleviate the patient's problems, and eventually to alleviate the health problems. But to all of you today, this is we call the agent enrollment, which is for business opportunity. I hope that this is a new opportunity. I hope that this is a new blue ocean opportunity, and an engagement between us to work alongside each other. So, without further ado, let's give a big applause to welcome our speaker today, Dr. Pan Fushi.
Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. Yeah. I see some familiar faces and some new faces. First of all, I want to thank Mr. Lu for organizing this event. And actually, probably some of you knows since about 10, 15 years ago in Penang, we met already. Okay, at that time, I was a plastic surgeon and trying to get into the surgical approach of regenerative medicine. So at that time, what we tried to do is using the adipose tissue and try to make the face look younger. Okay? And we had some good time and we had some bad times. And me and Mr. Lu, and we both have been working on the Malaysia market, and we learned from this. And with all those experience, and finally we get to this stage. Okay. And in fact, this is the first speech we are given, and it's also the first B2B event. Okay, this is the first B2B event we ever held, okay, for our company. And like Mr. Lu said, and our company started in 2003 in Taiwan. At that time, again, I was just a plastic surgeon and trying to make more use and trying to go into business based on what I know. Okay. And by 2020, and our company was we received a series fund from Wanhai Cargo, which is one of the largest cargo company in the world. Okay, Wanhai, WANHAI, and the owner of the company was my patient for this treatment, what we are talking about today. Okay, and now the holding company is in Hong Kong, and we are trying to expand our business in the China and also in the Southeast Asia regions. Okay, and that was a bit about the background. And what I'm trying to accomplish today are the followers. The first thing is, I think a lot of you is familiar with the anti-aging quote-unquote stem cells, facials, all these different approaches to reverse the aging, and which is one of the dreams of mankind. And just before the talk, I was talking to Amy, right? And she was telling me that she was just in Taiwan. Somebody says that they developed something can suppress the tumor cells, which can also cure the stroke. And it's just like a lot of contradictory messages keep on happening in the market. And with today's talk, I hope we can clarify some of the questions you bear in mind, and based on the more understanding of you to what we are doing, and we can find a better way to collaborate together and to help more people become younger and healthier. Okay. So this is the fountain of youth, and you know about this, right? So you probably see this slide many times by now. But when I first giving talks in anti-aging back in 1994 in University of Pennsylvania, this was very new. Okay, no doctors want to get involved in this at that time. Okay. So this is my background, and the only thing which is important is before become a doctor, before become a plastic surgeon, I have a PhD in chemical physics. So based on my trainings, I'm essentially a scientist and later become a physician. So the way I look at medical problems is definitely different from most of the physicians. I understand in this room we have probably a handful or even 10 doctors in this room, right? So our approach may be a bit different, but bear with me, okay? We all work in the same thing, work on the same things. So after I acquired my PhD and MD, then I got my trainings in surgery in University of Chicago. And after that, I went to University of Pennsylvania to teach. And that was 1994. And at that time, that was just the beginning of anti-aging. Okay, and a lot of just beginning of people beginning to get aware of the aging problem and things like that. And we had a conference. We had a department meeting, and the chairman, Linton W.A. Whitaker, came into the room. He said, now the university wants us to go, all of us, to be paying attention to the aging problem. And he's looking at us, a bunch of surgeons, and he said, who is the guy going to get involved with this, right? And you know about anti-aging. Aging is nothing to do with surgery, right? And nobody wants to do it, okay? And since I'm the most junior one, right? So he looked at me and said, hey, Fushi, you're the one doing this, and I have no choice, okay? Surgeons want to cut, okay? Surgeons don't want to do this type of medicine, okay? So the other thing, which is maybe of a little bit interest to you, is I returned to Asia in about 1996, and I'm the first American body plastic surgeon to practice in this part of the world. And we are the one bringing in new concepts before the Korean guys, okay? We trained the Korean guys in UPenn and the University of Chicago, okay? So we came back here, I came back here, and during the past 20 years, and I was able to practice the medicine in China, not in Malaysia, right? China, Dubai, and Cambodia, right? And I want to introduce to you, that's my Cambodia friend, Dima. Yeah, she was my manager when I was in Phnom Penh, the capital of the Cambodia, and we will talk about that. And today you will finally know what I'm doing, Dima. You finally know what we are trying to do in Cambodia. So after I returned to Taiwan, and I've been playing many different roles. I was the owner of a couple of clinics. I was the superintendent of a hospital, which belonged to the KMT, which is the largest private-owned hospital. So I was an administrator. And I have started up a couple of companies, and some of them failed, and this one seems to be able to survive for at least 20 years now, right? So, and with that as the background, let me tell you a little bit about the basis of anti-aging medicine. And in between of this, and I will try to tell you, based on, I'm probably not the most successful anti-aging business guy, right? But I'm pretty sure I'm the most experienced one. Does that make sense? Yeah, I've been around, okay? So if you have any questions, please just ask us, okay? So the first thing is, this is the graph, and that tells this is the age on the x-axis, and the y-axis is the time, the age of death, okay, of American woman, okay? So you can see that the dashed line is the line from 100 years ago, and the solid line is the line from 10 years ago. And you can see, you see a trend or increase of the age of death. What I'm trying to tell you is that people do live longer, okay? People do live longer. But the important thing is, in the news they never address is that the maximum lifespan, which hardly increased at all, okay? So what I'm trying to tell you is, and this is the fundamental issue here, okay? People tend to think, because of the technology, the improvement of technology in medicine, so now people can live to 80 years old, but when I get older, I'll be able to live to 120, so I can wait until I get older before I started doing something. And that's fundamentally wrong, okay? The reason, this is the graph of that addresses the importance of anti-aging medicine. The only reason of that is because the maximum lifespan, it doesn't matter how good the medical technology continues to improve. It stays pretty much at 110, 105, around that range. Does that make sense? Yeah, just try to understand this, okay? So if you want to increase your lifespan from 80 to 90 or 80 to 95, it's probably not that difficult by now. You can just go to hospitals, right? Get every 6 months get a physical examination, and you have something wrong with your lung, cut it out, something wrong with this, you take the medications. You can live to 1995, probably not an issue. But if you want to live beyond 110, that's still, we don't have any way to do that, okay? So with that in mind, you have to understand another thing is, despite the advances of medicine, the probability of getting any disease after the age of 60 increases drastically. Okay, so that means in the first 60 years of your life, if you all of you in this room got lucky and lived to 110, right? So you will be living pretty healthy for the first half of your life, and you will be getting some form of disease for the second half of your life. Okay, and by the end of your around 80 years, about 90% of the people is going to get multiple disease. Okay, multiple disease. So I just got a list from my largest investor for the company. I asked him what medication are you taking. He was asking me some questions, and I just received the list this morning. That was about 21 pills. Okay, it was 21 pills. So if you live to 100, you'll be taking probably 30 pills a day. Okay, and maybe those pills are effective, but the bad news is, even though those pills might be correct and effective, all those molecules, which cause small molecule medicine, is going to ruin your kidney, right? So by the end, you will see all these countries. I mean, it doesn't matter how good for their economic development, the rate of chronic renal disease goes up very quickly. Okay, so in other words, there's no easy way out. You can take a lot of medication. You can go to see doctors every day, but you will probably go on dialysis pretty soon. Okay, and that's pretty much the situation now. So as a result, the only thing we can do as a physician or as a citizen, okay, or as an agent or something, is try to increase or to maximize your health span. Okay, so from now on, we should begin to talk about health span. That means how healthy do you stay? You can tell people that I stay healthy until 90 years old and die, right? That would be good news, right? Is that making sense? Or instead of the other would be I still healthy until 70. Then I was in the hospital for another 10 years and putting 10 tubes on me for another 30 years. No, that's not good news, okay? So, aging, like what I just told you, is the cause of a lot of diseases. And you probably heard about this from time to time. And so this is including dementia, right? You forgot about what happened. Cardiovascular disease, you're walking, you're short of breath, and you have chronic renal disease, you have to go to the hospital 3 times a week to get dialysis and never able to go to travel again, okay? So it's on and on and on. There are so many diseases which is associated with aging. So traditional medical approach is we treat one disease at a time. So in other words, we need a target for treatment for Western medicine, okay? So if you have a dementia, you go to a neurologist, and the neurologist gives you 3 pills. So you have a high glucose, you go to a diabetic doctor, and he gives you 4 pills. You have high blood pressure, you go to a high blood pressure, he gives you another 3 pills. That's pretty much what we are doing now, okay? So some of us, which was trained as a scientist and in medicine, we will begin to ask the question, instead of treating all the disease which resulted from aging, if we have a way to slow down the aging process, or if we got lucky, to reverse the aging process, then we will be having a different situation. So what I'm trying to tell you is this, okay? Aging is like a 9-headed dinosaur or dragon. So if you have one doctor want to fight with 8 different heads of these dragons, it's almost impossible. You'll be very busy, right? You're treating different problems every day. But if you decided to take our approach, you want to focus in treating the aging problem, then maybe you only need to stab him on the heart, then all the 9 hair will die, right? So you have an easy way out. And this is what anti-aging is all about, okay? So now, let's look at the cause of aging. So if we understand the cause of the aging, then we can reverse it. If we don't know the cause of aging, then it's very difficult to do it. And since you are not, most of you probably not scientists, is there any molecular biologists here? If not, then we'll skip this part, we'll go through this part very quickly, okay? So these are many, many reasons people say it's the cause of aging, which includes chronic inflammations, stem cell dysfunction, mitochondrial dysfunction. You don't need to read those details. I just give you some ideas. You know, if it's important, I will tell you. It's big letters, only a couple of words on the slides. Those are the slides you need to remember. Okay. So there are many causes of aging, but if you slow it down, there are in the end is only 2 causes of the direct cause of aging. That is the chronic inflammation and the tissue fibrosis. Okay. I mean, you don't need to remember this, but you know, the reason of the aging, before aging problem occurs, there are usually only 2 things. One is the tissue fibrosis, means scarring, okay, or chronic inflammation, okay. There are only 2 things. And the cause of these 2 causes are actually stem cell dysfunction. So this is the reason stem cell becomes so important, okay. Stem cell is the cells inside your body, which is responsible for repair injured tissues. So if the number of your stem cells in the body is not enough, then when you get an injury, you cannot get repair. You got a fibrosis tissue. That's a scar. Okay, that's the reason. And the other one is that stem cell is also the regulator of the immune system. So if the number of your stem cells is not enough, or the number of the stem cells is not functioning well, then you are going to get a chronic inflammation, and that can cause the aging problem, and eventually become causing some of the aging disease. Okay. So this is a very important slide, I think. Just like the slide is trying to tell you is that you're facing the same lion, right? But if you are tall and if you are short, or if on the side, you look at it, you think of differences, okay? So the lion is the aging problem. And so the other guy judging is the doctors, right? So different discipline of doctors looking at the aging, they look at it differently, okay? But the important thing is this. The number 1 problem in doing anti-aging medicine, in my personal opinion, is the time problem. Because all the anti-aging treatment takes time, right? You want to get a treatment, they take time. So all the anti-aging problems, think about it, okay? If you have a cold, you have a cold, what do? You go to the doctor, right? He gives you some cold medications. So you take 2 Panadol, you go home, fever is gone, right? You probably have a runny nose, 2 more days, it's done, right? Okay, that's the current medicine, okay? How long does it take for you to treat the cold? Probably 5 days, but you will feel pretty good after 2 days, right? Or even the same day, right? That's the current problem of treating the medical problem. But when you're talking about treating the aging problem, it's totally different story. People tell you, okay, if you want to lower your BMI, what do you have to do? You need to go on a diet, right? How long do you have to get on a diet? 1 day? No. 2 days? No. For your life, you'll be on a diet, right? Always on a diet, right? Okay? So the other thing is exercise, right? People say, okay, you want to get healthy, go to do exercise. So how long can exercise improve your your glucose problem? You go to a gym, right? You run for 30 minutes, your diabetes is gone? No, it doesn't. It doesn't work like that. It takes a long time for you to train yourself, cardiovascular, you do your core and everything. Then after 3 months, yes, your sugar is begin to drop, right? So what I'm trying to tell you is this. if you want to treat aging, the only problem is not lacking of solutions. You can go on diet, you can go on exercise, you can do many things, but all of them take a long time, very slow effect. So it's not like the traditional medicine. If you go to a doctor, the doctor give you have a cold, right? You have a fever. The doctor give you a medication, you take it, didn't work, right? Tomorrow morning you go to another doctor, right? And he will give you something, it might work already, right? But aging is different. You come to one doctor, he tell you something, you need to spend 1 year on it, right? After 1 year, it doesn't work. You go to another doctor, he asks you have to do massage every day for three years. So it takes a long time. So by the time you find the method which suits you for anti-aging, you will be what? Pretty old, right? So you have no time to waste, okay? That's the number one problem. It's not you are lacking of the right things to do for your health. It's the only problem now we have is all of these methods take a long time. You don't have a quick method which can reverse the aging or control the aging. I hope you understand this, okay? So what we are trying to do is find something reliable and scientific, okay? It's not like shooting in the woods and trying different methods and eventually find one. It's just like you go to a doctor, right? You want your face look younger, right? You don't want somebody say, inject this A and B, right, this time, and next time C and D, and next time different combos, and after you finish all the combos, you're pretty much gone, right? You become a monster, right? Okay? So we're talking about, is there any scientific way we can control the aging problem? Okay, this is what we are asking. We are not trying to tell you this is the only way to control the aging problem. We are trying to develop a method which is reliable and which is hopefully fast enough, okay? So anything scientific, it has to fit 4 standards. One, you need to have an observation, you need to design an experiment, you do an experiment, you want to see the result, and you want the result to be repeatable. Does that make sense? Okay? And so this slide is what and how you should be examining what we are doing. Okay? Is that making sense to you? Okay? All of you are interested in anti-aging, right? But I want you to examine what my company is doing by using this slide. You each have to ask us, what you are doing repeatable? Or can be repeated or not? Or just one-time shot or something like that, no? Okay? So the hardest part is whether the method is reproducible, okay? So it's not an easy question. So the American Nature and Science, we know is a major journal. So it's about, I think it's 1 year ago, they did an experiment. They asked all these professors who publish papers in these major journals and say, do we want to give us some of your materials for the experiment so we can repeat it in another lab, okay? So only half of the people, half of the investigator agreed to do that. And after we repeat the experiment, only half of it works. Does that make sense? Okay? So based on what you read in the paper, it's only about 25% of what you see on the paper or on the news. I mean, I'm talking about the top journals, okay, which really work, okay? So among those 25% of the clinical paper and their results, and what makes it to the clinical stage and to be successful is only 8%. So what I'm trying to tell you is that if you don't understand me, then what I'm trying to tell you is that here is 100 methods of anti-aging, okay? So you can try all of them, right? Okay, and 100 years later, you might find one of them, okay? Does that make sense? It takes a long time, okay? Then the probability is very low. So this guy, is my hero, right? And I do a lot of quotes based on what he said. And the most important quote he gave us gave to me is we are connecting dots in our lives. Does that make sense? Do you hear this? Life is like connecting dots. Basically, that means that maybe we plan to gather here together for one purpose, right? But it doesn't work like that. I know. Okay. But 1 year or 2 years from now, and when we look back on this event, and when we meet, okay, then you probably click that on. This is what life is about, because we are definitely meet here today for a reason, probably not for the reasons we planned originally. That's basically what Steve Jobs was trying to say, okay? So the first question we need to ask is about this. What causes aging? So these are two schools of thoughts, right? So the first way of looking at it is genetics. That means that then genetics means, ask yourself, right? How old is your father live? You say your father lived to 67, for example, okay? And then how old is your mother? My mother is 80, okay? So then if it's genetics, then the chance you live, how old will you live? 75, right? Average, right? Well, that's genetics. It doesn't matter what you do, okay? The other one is called epigenetics. That means environmental factors, okay? So that means that although you are a twin, identical twin from the same parents, right? That it has to be the same parents. Then if someone lives in Kuala Lumpur and the other one lives in, say, New Delhi, and New Delhi has very bad air, very bad water, then the identical twin live in New Delhi is going to have a shorter life, okay? That's called epigenetics. So these are two schools of thoughts, okay? So the first question we need to ask is aging related to is aging a genetic problem? Because if aging is a genetic problem, then we can all go out and party, right? We don't need to listen to this because it's determined already, right? You know how your parents, how good and how healthy is your parents. There's no point to discuss, further discussion. So the answer is not, okay? So this experiment is very interesting. What this experiment is trying to tell you is this. So I'm 66 years old now, and some Shiny probably, how old are you now? 39, right? Yeah. So think about this, okay? So the experiment is very simple. You take the bone marrow stem cell from me, and take the bone marrow stem cell from somebody which is 20 years younger, and take bone marrow stem cells from somebody who is 85 years old. Are you with me on this? I take the stem cells from the bone marrow of 80 years old, 60 years old, and 40 years old, 3 different people. And take out the stem cells and put it in the lab, same environment. I guess which one goes best? The young one, right? So if you look carefully here, right? This is the one who goes the best and belongs to the 80-year-old, okay? So that means even you are older, but if your environment is better, your cells still can perform like a young people. Does that make sense? So it's not genetic predisposed. It's environmentally predisposed, okay? So like Amelia, right? Today, if you do everything very healthy, right? So if you take your cell out, and the cell can perform maybe 80 points. But if you go to Chengdu, stay for 1 month and drink party every day, right? And I take your stem cell out, then the performance is going to drop. Okay. So what I'm trying to tell you, and the most important concept you need to have is, it doesn't matter how old your father lived or how old your mother lived, and it doesn't matter how old are you now. The important thing is, if you can make your environment, internal environment, healthy, then your function of the function of the stem cell in your body can work as good as any young people. Okay, that's what the study shows. So some of these are more complicated anyway. So the next concept I want to tell you is this. Some people they think, if it's the old people, say that for me, all of the cells in my body is 66 years old, okay? And for Shani, all her cells is 40 years old. And that's a misconception, okay? And what is different is when you get older, the number of the old stem cells is going to increase. Does that make sense? But just like when the city gets older, the older population is going to increase. But the younger population is still there. It's just the percentage maybe decreased a little bit. It's just like the population aging problem, okay? So with all these basic information, so what we are trying to tell you is a couple scientific guidelines about reversing aging, okay? The first law is called first law of thermodynamics. You don't need to know about anything about thermodynamics. This is called energy conservation, which is a universal phenomenon. So what you need to see is this. Before the age of 60, and say you're taking same amount of calories in, because your metabolic rate is higher, so the net increase of the energy is 0, okay, assuming. But after 60 years old, when you are taking the same amount of energy, but your metabolic rate slow down, right? So you're going to accumulate a lot of energy, extra energy. The energy has to go somewhere. So sometimes you go to the fat, so people get fat. Sometimes the energy go to destroy the mitochondria and the things like that. Okay, that causes the aging problems. Okay, so that's what I told you already. If you want to stay young, it's not difficult. You just have to eat every meal like this. Okay? So, no, I'm serious. You really can do it, okay? And if you want to do it, if you think you can do it every meal like this, then no, you can go to the back and having a good time. Or you can do this, right? You can begin to jog every day from 9 to 5, okay? Just keep on running, right? Okay? You think it's funny, right? But it's not funny. If you go to Central Park or New York, right, you will see a lot of people like this. Okay? And that's my best entertainment. Whenever I go to New York, I go to Central Park. I just sit there watching all these people running. Yeah. So those things are free but difficult. And the worst is that if you doing that, by the age of 45, they are still running. You know? Are you with me on this? Just what I'm trying to tell you, if you keep on trying in one anti-aging method, because it takes so long, by the time you find out it doesn't work for these two ladies, right? Because they're still very big, right? So they are old already. So you need to find something which is more scientific and which is more effective. So this is the concept of entropy. This is called the second law of the, it's an important law in the physics, okay? And our therapy, basically the fundamental principle of what we're doing for the plasma conditioning is based on the second law of thermodynamics, which is called entropy. So let me explain this to you, okay? You know about this, you just never heard of it in terms of, in a physical way, okay? So you have a room, right? You have 2 rooms. You clean it up, right? So now you go into one room. The room is very chaotic. The other room is still very organized. So which one is the one cleaned before? Does that make sense? Or I didn't ask the question correctly. So basically what I'm trying to tell you is, if you do something, you clean up the room. The longer it gets, the more chaos it gets, right? Unless you begin to interfere with it again. So this is called entropy. That means that whatever becomes more random, more chaotic, is the older one. So for the older body, the organization of the materials, of the cells, and the structures become more disoriented. Okay. So this is the basis of our treatment. So now, those are the background for what we're trying to tell you in the second half of the talk, okay? So heterochronic parabiosis, I mean, it sounds awkward, right? Heterochronic parabiosis means that hetero means different age, one old and one young, okay? Heterochronic means 异时, different age. And parabiosis means living together, okay? It was just an experiment which was done 100 years ago. What people do is they connected old mice with young mice. Okay, you can stitch them together. So after you stitch up the old mice with the young mice in about 5 to 7 days, okay, the old mice become younger and the young mice become older. Right? So this was done many years ago. I mean, everybody who studies biology pretty much know about this experiment. So the hard question we are trying to ask is, how do you apply the heterochronic parabiosis phenomena into the clinical setting? And this is what our company do now. Okay, so this is was invented about 100 years ago, and what we do is just connecting an old rat with a young rat, and after that the old mice become younger and young mice become older. Okay. And so the easy way to tell this is just, I know, a lot of Chinese men say was you need to date a young lady, or for old lady you need to date a young man, and that can make you younger. Okay, that's the excuse. Okay. So how do you connect two people together in the real setting? Also, the first one is the identical twin, right? No, conjoined twins, right? So people are born with it, but they are same age, right? So this is not an example of heterochronic parabiosis. So this is not. But anybody knows? Come up with an idea. Two people can connect together. You probably did this before, right? No? Pregnancy, right? So pregnancy is the connection of the old, that's the mother, with the young, which is the baby. Okay? The only thing which is not a perfect heterochronic parabiosis, because the baby is probably 3 kilograms and the mother probably is 60 kilograms. So it's an asymmetric parabiosis. Okay? So in the end of this talk, you will hear the data about effect of pregnancy on the aging. Okay? So people study this. So how do you do it? I mean, if you are less than 45 years old and you are female, and you probably don't need any anti-aging. You don't need our method. You just go home and get pregnant. Okay? Yeah, that's very effective. Very effective. Okay. Okay. So now, I'll take you through the exercise of how do you apply heterochronic parabiosis in the clinical setting. So the first thought is that it must be something very good in the young blood, right? So this is the approach which is taken by Corral, and later by this is Paul Neerhan, the Paris, the cosmetic company. That's what they do. You go to Switzerland, they take out the extracts from a ewe, very fetal lamb, and inject it into the butt. Okay, that's the original plan. Okay, so the placenting, you probably heard about this. You go to Japan to get infusion, right? It's the same idea. You try to get the extract from the young people or the young tissue, and they re-inject it back to the body of the old people. That's the first approach of the heterochronic parabiosis in the clinical setting. Okay, so it's a company called Ambrosia, and they took a different approach. Their approach is in the company is in California. So what they do is they buy the blood from a college student. Okay, they buy the blood from a college student and sell it to the older people. So 1 liter of blood, over 18-year-old blood, is around $8,000. Okay, that's another approach. Okay, So this is recent news on this. But I mean, that's one approach. But you probably also know one thing is that you hear people go to Germany or go to Switzerland to get these injections, right? And somebody come back, they say, oh, I feel much younger, right? And some people say, well, I don't feel anything. And that's same thing happened to the stem cell infusions, right? So this couple, which both of them are professors in Berkeley, they think must be something wrong for this approach, okay? So they did an experiment. So instead of assuming young people has beneficial substance for the old animal, they think maybe the old animal actually has bad materials for the young people. So what I'm trying to tell you is, although intuitively you will think if I can get young blood into my body, then I will be younger because of that experiment. But that was wrong. Because the reason is because the old blood in my body, which is very suppressive, can suppress the normal function of the healthy organ. Does that make sense? So if you don't understand this, it's okay. Let me tell you this.